Welcome back to the Drag Racers Insurance Channel, and today we're going to talk about pit vehicles, things like golf carts and mopeds and ATVs, something that so many of us have. In the previous segment, we discovered that motor vehicles are not covered property under homeowners policy, and also the liability for motorized vehicles, at least most of them as they apply to us, are not covered. About the only two exceptions are motorized wheelchairs for handicapped people, and also vehicles that are used exclusively on the premises to maintain the premises, like a riding lawnmower. That would be the best example. But of course, we are not using our vehicles on the premises, and a lot of the vehicles are simply not mentioned in any exceptions, for example, ATVs. So where do we go? Okay, first off, the NHRA requires racers to have separate insurance on motorized pit vehicles to use them at their facilities. The cost is fairly reasonable. I think it's maybe $50, $75 a year. I believe that the new NHRA has a similar rule. I do not know. I've inquired to them. They have not gotten back to me. If I do hear from them, I will put it in the comments below, and I do invite questions and comments. Please let me know. I will do my best to answer them. So NHRA basically makes you, for the pit vehicles in question, and each one I believe has to be insured individually, they have a general liability policy. So basically what they cover is only the liability for the vehicles, and only in listed instances. For example, I believe that race days are covered, non-race days are not. I also believe that you have to have licensed drivers. If you let your 13-year-old drive the golf cart, that's not covered. So it's fairly restrictive, although it is fairly inexpensive, and it meets their requirements. However, you can have losses that aren't covered. Also, if you use your golf cart, say, you go camping 1 week a year, you bring it to the campground, it's not going to be covered there. It's not going to be covered under your homeowners, and it's not going to be covered under the NHRA policy. Also, the physical damage to the vehicle is not covered. So, if you want better coverage and still you don't want to spend a lot of money, you have a couple of options. First of all, getting back to our policy, the DragRacersInsurance.com policy with Great American, we can cover the physical damage on pit vehicles, golf carts, ATVs, etc. I believe I have a golf cart covered for $15,000, and as you know, golf carts are a lot more money than they used to be, but we don't cover the liability. So what can you do? There are a number of companies. Progressive is one of them. Geico is another. I'm not certain who others are. And they sell specialty insurance. I'm going to mostly refer to the Progressive policy. I used to sell them. I'm pretty familiar with them. And they sell a little package policy. It's like a mini auto policy. It's on a similar form. And you get not only liability coverage, you can get uninsured motorist coverage in case you're hit and suffer bodily injury from an uninsured vehicle. You can get medical payments coverage, and you can, to a certain extent, get physical damage coverage. Although if you have a highly customized golf cart, it may not cover the customizing. And those policies, I don't know how much they are now, But a few years ago when I sold them, they were pretty inexpensive. They were maybe $100, $125 a year. So they provide you a lot more coverage and a lot less exclusions for a little more money. They're pretty good policies. And one of the things you can do, especially if you're working with someone to get you a quote, is when you first answer all the questions, it's going to give you an amount of coverage at the minimum premium they charge. Might be, again, $100, say. But often I find you can add coverage in and still not go over that minimum premium. So the idea is you want to find a tipping point. You want to keep adding coverage up until boop, it's $101 or whatever. And you can get a lot more coverage that way. As you know, pit vehicles are prone to accidents. That's why NHRA requires that separate coverage in the first place. You can have a situation where a non-licensed driver operates the vehicle with or without permission. If that's your kid, you have to worry about that. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it's also possible to insure the liability on one of those policies and the physical damage with coverage like ours that will cover the full amount of that. So anyway, those are the basics. Pretty simple, right? Please, as I've said before, these are generalizations. You need to check your own policy. Make sure the coverage is excluded, and also look around and see what's available for your coverage. If you are racing the new NHRA, my guess is they have a new insurance program. You definitely want to check with them or your member track, see what is and isn't covered. Again, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe for more information. And again, comments, questions, put them in the comments. I will get back to you. Thank you very much for tuning in.